Hey everybody, it is Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I wanted to make a little video today because I have another upcoming project, and I'm getting a few of these in. I still need to see my friend D. I need to return 3 guns to him, and I guess he's going to have some more for me to review. I showed you the 2 pistols Jack had for me yesterday, and today I picked up another one from Richard. But anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. I also wanted to talk about NFA wait times. You know, in these videos I make on this channel, sometimes I just like to chit chat with you guys about guns, what's going on in the gun community, and it can be everything from politics to the celebration of Dianne Feinstein no longer here and trying to take our Second Amendment rights away. We can talk law, like the Ninth Circuit, or we can just talk general chit-chat. And that's kind of what I like, and that's what I want this channel to be. And I'm glad I finally divided the channels. You know, my main channel is still growing. You know, it was still a huge hit when I lost it at, like, you know, 43,000 subscribers. By now, I probably would have been at 60,000 or more. But it's okay because I don't know, it gave me a purpose to rebuild, do things a little bit different, and I divided the content up. You know, so I have just the gun reviews, just the product reviews, and that kind of stuff, and my occasional commentary video on the main channel. And over here, I could just chit-chat with you guys about whatever is on my mind, whatever going on. It's very casual. The other channel, I try to use, you know, better equipment to record. Here, it's just on my phone. And today, I wanted to talk about NFA wait times. I was watching a Colion Noir video recently. He did a suppressor video on the FN 509 Tactical, and I guess it's a suppressor that FN has made for that pistol. And he had talked about, and I guess he doesn't have an FFL. I kind of thought he did, but I guess he doesn't. And he was talking about his wait time, and he got his back in like 2 or 3 months, which is really, really good. And he's nobody special. I mean, I've heard people say that even during like the Donald Trump administration, I know that Don Jr. had said that he even had to wait the full time, you know, for his suppressors and things. But I noticed these trends. One of the things I try to figure out, and it's not that I have any answers or inside knowledge, it's just looking at the data that I get and trying to figure out what's going on. Right now, when it comes to the processing times of NFA, you know, paperwork and people getting their tax stamps, it's gone into this occasional high variable state. For a while, especially as the NFA branch was, I guess, handling all of those amnesty registrations, I noticed that the wait times of people that were doing traditional Form 4s or Form 1s began to rise and rise and rise to where I would say the average wait time was about 250 days or more, about 250 to 275. And it was that way across the board. And now that I think they're done with all that, or done with most of it anyway, I've noticed that now the Form 4s are going back into this weird variable where some people literally are getting them back in days. Like there was somebody in one of the Facebook groups that I'm a member of. I think it's like struggling to cope with NFA wait times or whatever. It's a funny group name. It's just a bunch of us sitting around helping each other get through the days while we're waiting for, you know, the forms to be approved. And somebody posted and said, no, I don't know anybody. No, my FFL isn't closing. No, I'm not in the military and I have orders. He literally got his stamp back the next day. Like it was a one-day process. He had no idea why. There was nothing going on. He was expecting like a 9-month to year wait like most people. And then I've noticed that some people are getting them back in like between 60 and 90 days. There's no rhyme or reason why. Some people are getting them back at 150. Some people are at like the typical like 250. And there's even people that are still waiting that are over 400 days. Yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And I can't figure out, is it an examiner thing? Is it a system thing? Because you would think that because they all get a control number when you submit the forms, especially on the e-form system, it's all done in chronological order. So if your form number, you know, I'll just make up a number here, 100,000, or your control number is 100,000, the person that next files a form is 100,001. And you would think that as the examiners get done with forms, they would just, like, you know, click the button, whatever next in the list. But it just seems to jump around. And it doesn't seem like certain examiners get certain states or certain types of forms. It's just kind of random. And we've had these times in the past. And sometimes you just try to sit there and figure out what the heck is going on. You know, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm super happy for the people that are getting their forms back in literally days or a week. And I feel terrible for the people that are over 400 days. None of it makes any sense. And I kind of wish that they'd figure something out. I mean, I think just all people want is the fairness. You know, when we're having to wait so long for a tax stamp, and then some people get it in, you know, as I said, 2 days, and no one's mad at that person's, you know, in particular. It's just like, man, it sucks for those people that are over 400 days, you know? It's just like, come on, like what's going on here? And they seem to process forms differently. And I don't know if it's them trying to figure out how to process the forms more efficiently or what. You know, everyone says the wait times are now the big detraction away from NFA stuff. But yet, as I said, a lot of people are getting their stuff back in 2 or 3 months. So I have no idea. We've had this before, and then all of a sudden the wait times go back to a very strict regiment when something happens, and then all of a sudden they get like they are now, where they're all over the place. There used to be a great website. It's still up, but they don't have the same interface that they used to. There was a website called NFA Tracker. I think it was NFAtracker.com. And it used to have this grid of, you know, you could, you know, years or whatever and months and so forth. And as everybody would self-report when they submitted and how many days it was and when they got their approval, it would plot it on this, you know, big diagram and like this big graph. And you could actually see the trend times. You know, things could go up or down, and then all of a sudden things might become variable, and it's like this big cloud of returns, and that's kind of what we are now. It just doesn't make any sense, and I don't know. So it goes back to the question of, is the government evil? Like these evil masterminds? Because a lot of people, as I said, say the wait times are what they do now to deter people, but then some people get their stuff back really fast. Or are they just incompetent and can't figure out a system? It doesn't make any sense. So if you guys are waiting for any NFA paperwork, more specifically the Form 4s, Form 1s still come in pretty fast, which doesn't make any sense because it's the same background check. I have no idea why. They go faster, but the Form 4s are taking forever. And I know that personally right now as I'm filming this video, I'm at like 150 or 60 days on one and like, I don't know, 75 days on another, and I'm about to start the process on a third. So, I don't know. I'm not, you know, too upset about it, but I'm just curious if you guys are waiting for NFA forms and what you guys are seeing and what you guys think are happening. Because I would love to be a fly on the wall in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and find out what the heck's going on. You know, it's not that I think people are so upset about the NFA system as much as they are the wait times. You know, the paperwork's not too bad. No, the tax isn't too bad. It's just the wait times. Jeez, the wait times. So anyway, tell me in the comment section, are you guys waiting for any stuff right now? If so, how long are you waiting? Or have you seen anybody else with these super quick return times? And what do you think's going on? So that's kind of the gun chat for today. But let's talk about an upcoming project. Now, this is a gun that I think it's going to be really cool, but I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on because it's a different model than some of the other variants that I have reviewed. And I'm not 100% sure of what the upgrades are besides the cosmetic things. And I already know that my friend Andrew in Australia is going to hate this thing. He loves everything John Moses Browning except the Browning HiPower. Now this is, of course, let me safety check it right here. This is a Browning HiPower. I'm going to assume made by FN, but it says, you know, Browning Arms Company, Morgan, Utah, on the side. So it's imported by Browning. It says made in Belgium, assembled in Portugal, typical of most of like the Mark, was it the Mark 2s and 3s, I think. And it was made according to the serial number in the 1980s. And this is the practical model. So obviously it has a two-tone look to it here. Now this is in their I forgot what finish. It's like that painted finish. I have to remember. I said I have to go back and look it up, but it's not like a Cerakote. Off the top of my head, I totally forgot. It has the old style combat hammer, which I like. Now these grips, Richard told me, are not the originals to the gun. These are old Uncle Mike's, and I guess Uncle Mike's doesn't make these anymore. But the original ones had the wraparound with the finger grooves, which he hates, and I honestly hate too. So having these on here, I think is better. But you know what would go really good on these? Instead of Brownworks grips. But anyway, It's a 9mm. Now, the only other HiPowers I've ever seen in this two-tone finish were in 40. But this one's in 9. And this is one of the original magazines, and it has this different follower to it right there. So Richard told me that this gun was designed for competition shooting. So I guess that's what it means by the practical. It's not necessarily, like a military, version of it. It does have the front sight that's sloped like this, but I've seen that mainly on the HiPowers that have the adjustable rear sight. But this one has the standard rear sight on it. Chambered in 9mm. It does, I know what some people are going to ask, yes, it does have the magazine safety disconnect in it. And even though it has that, the trigger in this thing is actually pretty good. I would say it's better than the HiPowers that they were making before they quit making HiPowers and came out with the new one. But it's not as nice as ones that don't have that disconnect. But Richard has not taken it out. I can tell you the trigger pull on it, as I said, is actually pretty crisp. I mean, the take-up on it's not bad. And, oh yeah, I forgot to put the magazine in. See? I'm just so used to having pistols, I don't need to have the magazine in. All right, so the take-up's not bad. It's a pretty crisp trigger. It's a little bit heavy. And then when it comes to the reset, though, yeah, you barely feel it. There's no tactile feel or an audible reset. Now, that doesn't bother Richard. He's like, if you shoot revolvers, you don't get a reset, and he thinks that a lot of people today are too used to that, and I see that point. But it should be fine. I've shot many of these HiPowers in the past. Now, the one issue, though, I know I'm going to have to be very weary of is it has the old style tang, which is very short, and with this combat style hammer, my hand, as you can see, that little fleshy part around my thumb, I'm going to get some hammer bite. Yeah, look at that. That's going to hurt. So I'm going to have to hold this thing down. I always have to hold these old HiPowers down, even though we're told kind of in modern pistol technique, you hold it high. Now, Richard doesn't have that issue, but I guess he doesn't have as fatty hands as I do. I mean, I got some kind of, big old meat sausages there. It's not that my fingers are long, they're just wide. And I guess I just have a lot of skin there, and if I hold this using kind of like a modern handgun technique, as you can see, look at that. That's what's going to happen when I fire this thing. So I have to hold this very different than I normally would any other pistol. And it's a little bit awkward for me. And that's why I want to try out one of those new HiPowers from FN, because they've changed that beaver tail and the tang, and they've changed the hammer. So you're not supposed to have that issue. But I got to go look up some research on the practical model. Another thing about these I don't like, for the most part with most older HiPowers, is you try to drop the magazine, and that's it. You got to strip that thing out of there. And that's because of that magazine safety disconnect. But anyway, this is going to be a cool upcoming project, and I'm curious if you guys know anything about these pistols. And this one's really nice, in very nice shape. Very nice shape. So I don't know if Richard got this new. I think he got it used, but it's in really nice shape. I love the HiPower. I think it's a beautiful gun. I want to like it more than I actually do, but it has a lot going for it. So anyway, that's the upcoming project, and that two-tone look looks awesome. One of the projects I've always wanted to do, and I'm kind of borrowing the idea from an old video on TFB TV, back when Alex C. was one of the hosts over there. He did a HiPower project once where he bought like an old Milsurp one, with like the old roll marks on it and everything. It was like a military or police trade-in, and it was pretty beat up, and he restored it. He took everything apart. He replaced all the springs. He upgraded some features on it, and then he took it to a person that did Cerakoting, and he did it in like a real cool two-tone. I want to say it was like green and black or brown or something. It looked really cool. I was like, that'd be a cool project to do. And then every time I try to go and find a surplus or used military, trade-in HiPower, they're like $1,400. And I'm like, it's not worth it for a project gun. I'm not doing that for a project pistol, a Browning HiPower. But I've always been kind of envious of that build because I always thought that would look so cool. And I was like, that'd be just a cool, just general purpose range gun to have. So I'm looking forward to shooting this one. So thank you, Richard. And I'm curious what you guys know about this or think about this. I already know what Andrew's going to say. He hates them. I guess when he served in the military down there, it was their standard issue pistol, and I guess they just sucked for them. So anyway. So I hope you guys are having a good weekend. Just wanted to talk about NFA wait times and an upcoming project, and I appreciate you guys watching these videos. I just like talking guns with my friends. So if you watch to the end, and I like to do this just to see who actually makes it from time to time, use the word practical. Practical, because that's what this is, the HiPower Practical. Okay, so if you use that word, I know you made it to the end, and you are one of my greatest fans, even though, fans, whatever. Hey, speaking of which, I just crossed the 9,000 subscriber mark on the main channel. I'm growing fast, and I'll start bringing back live streams as soon as I hit 10,000. So that's my goal. So I have about 1,000 subscribers to go. We're going to start doing live streams again on the main channel. So anyway, hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. As I said, I'll have probably a commentary video tomorrow on the main channel, the Texas Gun Vault Poll Question of the Week on this channel. I'm filming a couple of reviews, product reviews tomorrow, going to the range tomorrow. I got a lot of stuff to do. And then next weekend, because it's a holiday weekend, I have a few days off, so I will hopefully pump out a lot of content and get stuff ready for the future. So that's what's going on. So, as always, thanks for watching.